Oi, oi, hello, welcome back to the Chelt Mental YouTube channel. I have been absent for a little while. It's been the flat season. I've been bashing out content with Gigi and with whichbookie.co.uk. Big thanks to those guys for their support. But as it's the start of the jump season, I'm going to be back with a few thoughts running through to the spring festivals. Big thank you to all you OGs that still support me through all of this. I know I've been lucky with some of the opportunities that I've been given. I do try to work hard to create those opportunities and to continue to improve. A big thank you to all the people that supported me there. Big thanks to all the new followers as well. Over the last 12 months, we've got a good amount of subscribers. Sorry for some of those ones that have left that either will see this again through their recommendations or that maybe won't get to see this because they dropped off the wayside because I wasn't uploading content. But the typical norm for me would be through the jump season on this channel. With gg.co.uk, I'll be on there most of the time, most weeks, I guess, for the weekend watch and a few other bits in there too. And then with whichbookie.co.uk, I'm putting some extra bits out through this season for the jump season. So a big thanks again to those guys for their support. There has been some big news coming out though. Willie Mullins has done his first Sable Tour for the start of the season. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit in this video. We've got the Chepstow season opener coming up this weekend, Friday, Saturday and Sunday. The Welsh Champion Hurdle has been brought forward in the calendar for this fixture. I think that's great news. And as much as there is a bit of a lull at the start of the season when the Chepstow season opener comes, we have to wait a little bit more for the Charlie Hall meeting in Down Royal. It's still a very good time of the year and there's still some very competitive racing. This is a fixture that lots of trainers like to target. Now it's a 3-day festival. I think that could be even more so. And every single year we get very different ground. Sometimes it can be rattling fast, sometimes it can be an absolute swamp. So potentially it can suit all different types of horses, but often there are a few horses that are targeted for this. The money can speak volumes. And sometimes we get to find out some clues for the rest of the season. So in this video, I'm going to talk about what's coming up for me really on this channel. I haven't really planned this video. The Willie Mullins stuff's come out this morning, so I thought I'd quickly just get something out from a timing perspective that it's just an exciting moment for everybody now, isn't it? Like I say, Chepstow starting the season. Willie Mullins talk about his horses. There's some horses to follow list coming out. There's plenty of content that'll be banging out from all the good YouTube channels and all the big firms. It's just an interesting time of year, isn't it? So basically from my side of things, I'll probably follow a similar approach to last year. If I've got some anti-post fancies through the season, I'd like to share those with you guys. So pretty much any bet that I'm striking towards Cheltenham that I think is worth sharing, then I will do. When I say I think is worth sharing, there may be some bets that I put in that, I don't know, they're price holding, they're bits of information I've been given, they're just hype, it's just following theories and all that sort of stuff. And if markets are moving so significantly and I can get on something because I've had a WhatsApp from someone saying you've seen this horse's price is shortening, I don't have the time to be able to get these videos recorded and uploaded. That's not to say that I'm so overwhelmed and busy that I haven't got the time to do it. I just mean logistically of me putting out a video for you guys. If the price isn't going to be available for a long period of time, it feels very counterproductive to be telling you guys something that you can't actually get. The opinion and the view of stuff has to be price related when it comes to these things. And obviously when prices are tumbling, it's tricky to put that out. So like the OGs again, like people that have been watching the channel for a while will know the sort of approach that I take with uploading those types of videos. What else are we going to be putting up this year? Well, I'll definitely do something very much festival related in the spring. When it comes near Christmas time, depending on what's going on with some of the other channels, depends on what type of previews or thoughts I will be sharing. But if you guys have got anything you'd like me to try and do through this season, drop a comment below with that type of content and I'll see if I can factor those bits in there. And yeah, it's just a good time of year, isn't it? We're getting into October, or we're in October now. We're getting into the start of the jumps racing. We're getting into that period where everyone's talking about things. The clocks will be changing soon. It's going to be basically a lot of Christmas talk. It's just a very good time of year to get excited for all things jump racing. So, going to quickly paraphrase some of the Willie Mullins stuff. As I say, there's a link in the description for the sportinlife.com article, so you can go click on there to find out exactly what it is. But it's not a very long read. It's probably worth going and reading anyway. But just to talk about a few of the horses that have been headlined within here. Amsterdam's, Willie Mullins reckons, could be good enough to go down a champion hurdle route. Looking like the Morgiana as a potential starting point for that horse. Also, potentially a starting point for that time of the year. Could be a horse like Ballyburn. They've talked about it, maybe going back over hurdles would be the best option with him. He looks like he could be a stairs hurdle race. They're talking about, rather than the Morgiana with him, which is a shorter trip, going for a Hatton's Grace. I mean, we'd see Teapu in there as well, probably, wouldn't we? That's the route that he goes down. And of course, we saw a few years ago when Impere Pass went up against Tiopu when it didn't quite pan out. So we're going to get quite an early season clash there that could be exciting. Bambino Fever, the champion bumper winner. Willie Mullins to talk about the mare's novice hurdle route would be the plan. She's favourite currently for the Supreme Novices Hurdle. We did a video with gg.co.uk on the 10 festival favourites, and we talked about that in there. We'll see what happens with her. He does often leave his mare's novice hurdlers a little bit later in the year, and he's already said late October, early November, but no rush to get her out. Dino Blue, she's back in training, which is good. A similar route to last year. Aim is towards the Mare's Chase at Cheltenham. Energa being quite old. They're saying that he's in great shape. They might go over further this season and be a bit more adventurous with him. That's good to see because he knows a bit of a tool. Factor File, they're talking about going down the Gold Cup Ryanair route. Now, he's already head of the Ryanair market. That is probably the plot that he's going to go down. We know that JP's got, I know the way you're thinking for a Gold Cup. Madgebury's a horse we'll come on to in a little while that also potentially could go around there. But there's races like the John Dirk and the King George that have been cited for Factor File. Proper prospect, and we'd like to see him go out and about. Final Demand over Fences, currently favourite for the Brown Advisory Novices Chase. They're saying it looks the real part, a real staying change to the making. I think we all saw that last season too. 3-1 top price for Brown Advisory. Probably wouldn't be getting too many people excited, but he's the type of horse that will go off long odds on, should everything go to plan through the seasons. They're going to want to wait till the ground comes right for him. They've talked about this one because he is such a big horse and might want a little bit of nice bit of cut in the ground. If they get the chance, they'll start 2.5 miles, but they wouldn't mind starting him over 2 if that's the way that the races fall. They really want to be looking at the 2.5 and 3 mile division, but again, we probably already knew that, so it's nice to get that confirmation. Galopin de Champs, they're going to have a good crack to go for the Gold Cup again. They're saying he's still young enough despite the amount of attempts he's had in there. Other big names really to mention, Gaelic Warrior, talk about the John Durkan as an early season plan for him, and then looking to go for a King George. A lot of people have thought that the King George is made for a horse like Gaelic Warrior. Ilete Tomps, a real good horse last season. They're looking at going for the Tingle Creek with that horse. That could be decent. Obviously, won the Celebration Chase at the back end of last season and in good style. Tingle Creek would have to be his major target of the season for Ilete Tomps, so that's going to set up a nice clash in December. Impere Pass, I've already touched on him, but it's another horse that the John Durkan could be a possibility. They're going to be aiming him at the Ryanair through the rest of the season, but again, like this early start of the season, your Morgianas, your John Durkans, they're made up of Willie Mullins sending lots of horses out. They all vary in the distances they're going to go at the end of the season, but it'll be really exciting to see. I thought an interesting point they mentioned in terms of Jay de Grugy and Carl Gase that are obviously in the same ownership. Haven't really spoken to connections, but want to work out to basically keep them apart where they're going to send one of the horses over hurdles or chase him. He's saying that Jay de Grugy would adapt to going over fences, so I would take that as she is the one that's going to go chasing and Carl Gase would stay hurdling. Jasmine DeVoe, they're saying here's going to cause a bit of a problem. We need to chat with connections as well. Willie Mullins did this one. They might have a look at going over fences with him, but they need to get some feedback about that one as well. Jasmine DeVoe, of course, won an Albert Bartlett, was a horse that looked a bit ropey with his jumping. Sometimes you can have these horses that would improve for it, but he was a bit ropey in his point to points as well. So they don't know where they're going with him, and I think it's one of those that they have to decide at home, and we'll see on the race course. I could see him being a novice chase that reverts back to hurdle. We'll have to see. Kit's Bull, big fine horse he's talking about. They'll go novice chasing this season. He looks to stay in division type. Now, of course, the small amount that he's talked here compared to Final Demand, you'd say Final Demand would be streets above Kit's Bull in a Brown Advisory sort of prospect. I do like Kit's Bull. I thought he made loads of mistakes last season in terms of being fresh and keen, and maybe fences will sort him out. So he's a very interesting horse to keep on the right side of. Don't know whether it'll be next season or the season after, but I think he's a proper horse anyway. Kopek de Board, seeing what he did last year, especially in that Supreme, they think that he's going to be an Arkle type, so that's where they're going to be campaigning him. We've got some other horses in here, like Larzac, horse that came with a big reputation from France, but disappointed in the Triumph Hurdle and at Punchstone. Willie Mullins says he'll go novice hurdling, and we could go down the handicap route as well. Well worth remembering that and making a note of Larzac, because horses back in the good old days, like your Sanoir and State Man, the types of horses that used to be able to go for a county hurdle, they came with these big reputations as potential Supreme Novice Hurdle winners. Larzac comes with a reputation, still obviously not lost all hope with this particular horse. And when they mention a handicap route at the start of the season, if things don't necessarily go to plan, it could actually be part of the plan. So he'll be a horse that will come around about the houses in the spring festivals as a horse that would still be on people's radars. Lecky Watson potentially going down the Gold Cup route. The way he won the Brown Advisory last year and the way he handled the track on occasions, they're saying that the Gold Cup would have to be that. He improved all last season, Willie Mullins says, and he'll sure improve again this season. He's a horse that potentially could be the lively outsider for a Gold Cup, but for me, I need to see quite a bit more from him. Lossy Mouth, they're saying that normal plan will start in the Hatton's Grace with her, and then she'll be going to Cheltenham. That's where it's interesting when you think again about the Hatton's Grace with Ballyburn, Lossy Mouth, Tiopu. That could be an absolute banger. Willie Mullins has sort of tongue-in-cheek said that's all he'll commit to at the stage that should be going to Cheltenham. Of course, Mare's Hurdle Tilt again, or a Champion Hurdle. Madgeborough talked about this horse saying those mistakes at Cheltenham. Is he more of a Ryanair horse? They're going to start out at 2 miles anyway in the Hidaway Chase, and I guess they're going to see how things unfold. Talked about Nick Rocket in here as well. Real good campaign last season. Won a Grand National, didn't he? He said the way that he won that performance would put him in the Gold Cup picture. They're going to see how he's going, and they'll see how he goes after a couple of runs to see what they're going to do with him. I think Willie Mullins has said here that he wants to go back to Aintree with him too, but they'll have Cheltenham entry, and then they'll keep an open mind about that one. Poneros took the scalp of Lulamba. Won't be out till after Christmas. Sits in the league of table for 2.5 mile hurdlers probably, is what he's saying, because where he sits for the ranking for 2 mile hurdlers, there aren't that many 2.5 mile races, and it's hard for 4-year-olds in their open season. So I feel like Poneros might be a little bit of a project for next season maybe, but we'll have to see. St. Lucy's one, they're looking for a horse to go down the Mare's Handicap route. She came with a lot of reputation again as well. Well fancied for like Triumph, that sort of division. He gives a big positive mention to Salvatore Mundi. Again, a horse that he's always liked. He wonders if he might improve his game over fences because he's a bit of a difficult horse to ride, but sometimes it can happen. I remember Indus being hair of like back of the what was I saying? Back of the seat type of stuff. I can't remember what the expression is. But basically, he used to just wing the top of the fence, didn't he? Very fluid over the top, but didn't really leave much margin for error. I imagine Salvatore Mundi could be that type. He'll be going down an Arkle Prospects type scenario, but obviously got Kopek de Board there, who's not the same mould, but could be a little bit of a similar mould. Talked about Sortudo, Minis, Spindleberry. There's a couple of horses that I haven't really picked up in here. Few interesting ones that got mentioned as well. Absurd, he's talked about the horse being going for the Caulfield Cup in Melbourne on the 18th of October, saying that will suit him better than the Melbourne Cup. He was saying 40 to 1 each, which was a very generous price. Top price 25 to 1 at the time I put this out. You know, it's going to be an obvious shortener. It might be one that people want to type some free bets or something into. And then he's talking a little bit more about some other types of horses to do with maybe flat stuff or Breeders' Cup and things that are probably less National Hunt focused. So we'll leave them as they are. So with all that said, thank you guys for watching. Thank you again for your support. We'll see you again through the season.